We're good. We're live. We're live. We're going. Hey guys, what's up? Super excited. Another week of real estate straight talk. Every week I'm like super excited. I'm pumped, as you can tell. But I'm telling you, if you thought last week was good, just buckle up, because this week is going to be the week where I believe, and what I really want to do is break down and solve one of the biggest problems that real estate investors are having out there today in the marketplace. I talk to a lot of people. This is the problem that they want to have solved. So I didn't entitle this thing. I just put Real Estate Straight Talk. Are you ready for this? So that's what I got. So guys, if this is your first time tuning in, again, Mike Baird here, Real Estate Straight Talk. Every week I bring to you all of the questions that you've got in terms of what you can do to start your real estate business, take your real estate business to the next level, whatever it is. That's what I'm here for. So definitely get out a pen, get out a paper. I want you taking notes, and I promise you something. I'm going to give you 100%. I'm going to give it straight to you, exactly the way I see this after doing this business for over, 15 years now, 1,500 homes. I had an opportunity to do a TV show on Flipmen. And by the way, check me out on a lot of my social media stuff, Mike Baird Real Estate and Design. Check me out there. You can check me out as well on Twitter at FlipmanMike. And I do also have a private page known as the Smarter Real Estate Tribe. So definitely check me out there. That's for a small exclusive group of people that are out there doing deals right now, and a lot of interaction, a lot of network is definitely taking place on that little chat group as well. So definitely check that private group out, Smarter Real Estate Tribe, Mike Baird Real Estate and Design. So anyways, guys, last week I had the opportunity to be in Las Vegas, and I spent a day with my three brothers, okay? So there's four of us, and we're kind of all the same, you know what I mean? We grew up doing athletics, grew up doing sports, and so we had a lot of fun together. We went to the gym, we played basketball, and by the way, if you've ever seen the Baird boys play basketball, it's like kind of like basketball and wrestling, kind of like all in the same thing. Like you can play ball, but there's like no fouls. And that's what I really like about it, because I can just check my brothers against the wall and it's good. So it's kind of hockey, wrestling, basketball, like all in the same thing. So we did that. That was fun. And by the way, my older brother, Dave, and I, we crushed my younger brothers, John and Paul. They're still kind of whining about it, but hopefully they get over it. And so we did that. And then we did a helicopter ride. We did a helicopter ride, went down the Grand Canyon. We checked that out, went to some really nice restaurants. We did some shopping, which was awesome that way. But one of the coolest things that we did, if you've never done this before, go check out some of the shows and the magicians that are in Vegas, right? I kind of grew up going to magic shows. My dad actually has like a lifetime membership at this place in LA called the Magic Castle. And so as kids, we used to go there and check this out and see all the magic shows that go on. As a kid, I remember going and seeing David Copperfield, and I was just like blown away by the stuff that these guys were doing. I'm like, man, this really makes me think how creative, and how do they do this, and every move with precision. And so this past weekend, we went and saw Matt Franco. Okay, Matt Franco, by the way, you probably have heard of him. He was in the America's Got Talent. He won America's Got Talent. So because of that, he ended up going into and having the show in Vegas. And I think the most interesting thing about these magicians is the fact that they always come out and they always want to show the audiences that they don't have anything under their sleeves, right? They always come out and they just want to show you there's nothing here. And then the next thing you know, like right out of thin air, like all of a sudden they start pulling stuff out, right? So what I want to do right now, I believe I'm about ready to solve the biggest problem that real estate investors are having in today's market, and especially first-time investors. I talk to a lot of students across the country, and it seems like over and over and over again, this is the problem that I'm solving. So just like Matt Franco, just like David Copperfield, I got nothing up my sleeves. This is just like right here, open-handed. We're gonna make this happen, and I'm gonna show you, and I'm gonna solve for you what I believe to be one of the biggest problems that are going on out there in the real estate industry today. And so here's the problem. I'm gonna show you how to do this. Are you ready for this? By the way, and go ahead, put the chat in. If you're like, hey, you digging this, you're excited, you got your pen and paper, I don't know, but like you're as excited for another session, definitely give me some chat, give me some love, because we're live and I want to feel that. And hopefully our energy is like, it's mutual. So anyways, you ready? So the biggest problem, we're going to solve this, okay? So I think this is huge. So here we go. And I've already written this down because it's so big. So what I want to do today is talk about how to never, and never is a strong word, right? But I'm going to even add that never, ever have a cash flow problem in your real estate business. And if you've been in this business for a while, you know how huge this is. I want to make sure you never, ever have a cash flow problem in this business, okay? That's what we're going to talk about, okay? So never have a cash flow problem, because I'm talking to guys, and by the way, this is for guys that have been in this for 10 years, for 15 years, for 2 years, 1 year, whatever, but let me just explain to you how the problem is created, because sometimes we just don't even understand, like, what have I gotten myself into? Like, how am I here right now today in this issue? So let me tell you how this is created, how cash flow problems are created in this business. So the problem is pretty simple. The problem is the fact that we go and we see people making money and we go, man, that guy just made 40 grand on a deal. So I want to engage in the traditional, and again, I want to just define traditional just for a minute. And when I say traditional, I'm talking about a buy, sell, traditional, and then in this middle portion to get it to go to buy and sell is this fix up, or some people call it this rehab session. So we're going buy to sell with this big fix up or rehab session, like right there in the middle, right? Well, let me ask you this. How long does it take for something like this to happen, to go from buy to fix to sell, buy to fix to sell, and to begin to start to duplicate and really scale a business like this? And this is the thing that we're not really thinking about, right? Because what we don't realize is a lot of these bigger projects, they take time. They take 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, and I don't know about you, but if I was just starting out this business and I was getting into some really big remodels and I was investing more and more and more cash into these things, and let me tell you something, if you think it's going to take 90 days, it takes 120. If you think it's going to take 120, it takes 150. Like, things take longer. And then what happens from time to time is we go, man, that contract just fell through. We're under contract, we're going through that inspection period, we're going through the appraisal side of this, and the next thing you know, the whole thing just kind of goes to crap. And you're putting it back on the market, and what happens is we create this cash flow problem. Now, let me tell you what happens. A lot of times, this is not just happening on one property. This is happening with people getting out there, and they're doing 2, 3, 4, 5 big properties, big projects that take 4 to 6 months to get it done. And then what happens? All of a sudden, everyone's out of cash, and you're thinking, you're scratching your head going, I thought I was going to make 40 to 50 grand on this deal. Well, that 6-month period that it took us to make that 50 to 60 grand, we need that to recoup. And what we do, it just perpetuates this cash flow problem. Okay, see what I'm saying? So a lot of you are familiar with it. You've been in it, and you're like, man, what do I do to overcome this cash flow problem? Okay, so what happens again is we need to think about this. How long is it going to take us to get it done? How much cash are we going to invest in? And I'm going to just drop a couple of nuggets and say, okay, that's the problem. I do not want to be in a cash flow crunch. I do not want to be in a situation where a contract falls through and I don't know what to do, right? Or I don't know where to take this to the next level, where I don't have food to put on the table because I'm waiting for this sucker to close over here. I talk to you because I've made these mistakes. I made these mistakes, and I want to make sure that you're not making these mistakes and you know exactly how to overcome the issue. So we understand the problem. Let me tell you something. So I mentioned earlier my brothers, we play basketball. And we're playing basketball, and it's like this mix between basketball and hockey and wrestling or whatever. Well, I grew up in a wrestling family, and one thing that I was taught is that if you're going to win a state championship in the state of California, you're going to be a wrestling powerhouse, you got to have a couple of things. You got to have a couple of really big studs. When I'm talking studs, you got to have a couple of guys in the finals of state. And everyone knows who they are, everyone talks about those people, and those are the guys that are basically going to help be the pillars, right? But let me tell you something. What everyone is not talking about is they're not talking about that whole entire supporting cast. And when I talk about the supporting cast, I'm talking about the other team members that are maybe they're getting 5th, maybe they're getting 6th, maybe they're getting 8th, maybe they're getting 3rd. But what we're talking about is a really, really strong supporting cast. So I've got my pillars, I've got my studs, right? But then I got to have the supporting cast as well. Well, here's the problem. Everyone's watching TV, and what are they showing on TV? Pillars, dude. They're showing the studs. They're showing the house where, man, we bought this thing for $100,000. We put $100,000 into it. Yeah, it took us 4 to 6 months, but all of a sudden we made 50 grand and we're geniuses. Well, the problem is if every time we're just going for those big studs, we're going to run into a cash flow problem. So that's what we do. They don't know the difference. We have to create the supporting cast. So that right there is part of the solution. I'm going to write it down right here. Supporting cast. So those of you that have been in the business for a while, I want you to just pause for a minute. I want you to think, okay, what do I have in my portfolio now? I've got a couple of these properties here. How good are they? And then where's my supporting cast? Do I have a really good, strong supporting cast? Because here's the deal. Without the supporting cast, we've got cash flow issues. When the big monster house that we were going to make 50 to 100,000 on falls through, I got to have a supporting cast right underneath there to create just a little bit of cash flow, a little bit of something to, I always just said, just a little bit of just kind of oil in the chain. You know, my kids are always out riding their bikes. I'm like, dude, put some oil in the chain. Make it just like roll a little bit easier. Life's a little bit better that way, right? We're sleeping a little bit better at night. But every time, we don't want to just swing big, big, big. It's okay. Have a base hit, have a double, have a triple, have something just right underneath it that creates the supporting cast. Now, I've talked about having the big hitters, and then I've talked about maybe having this supporting cast. But what now I want to do is I want to give you a couple other solutions outside maybe of this traditional model of basically buy and fix and sell, okay? Because everyone knows about that. I'm already telling you, if you're going to go out there and you're going to put a business together and you're going to have a portfolio of houses you're flipping, cool. Have a couple nice, really bigger deals if you want, or just stick with all of those little supporting cast members. That's where you're going to basically mitigate all that risk, and that's where you're going to want to be, okay? So if you're on board and you're hearing what I'm saying, just give me a little chat or whatever. Be like, yeah, I get it. Like supporting cast. Just put it in the comments. Be like, Mike, I get it. Like supporting cast. Because I'll preach this and I'll try to tell you this over and over and over again, but sometimes we just don't do it. So I want to tell you, supporting cast is going to be the key. Think about the whole wrestling analogy. Couple of studs in the finals, strong supporting cast. That is the solution, okay? So part of this solution and part of this supporting cast has to do with making sure that we're creating multiple streams of income, okay? So write that one down too, because I need having multiple streams of income coming in as well to really create this supporting cast and what's happening there. You got it? So multiple streams of income, supporting cast. That's what I need. Okay, so let's walk through this. Let me just show you a couple of ideas, ancillary things that I'm doing right now as it relates to this business and how to create the supporting cast. So supporting cast, that's the solution. How are we going to do it? I'm going to show you right now 4 things, okay? 4 things. If you look at the income that I'm currently receiving right now, how this works in my business, I want to show you 4 ways that income is currently flowing into my business and why I like it to be set up this way. And it's all going to come down to the supporting cast concept and idea, okay? So let's walk these through. And I'm telling you, just because no tricks up the sleeve, this is exactly the way I'm running my business right now and how the supporting cast is working in my setup. So number 1, agent fees, referrals, and commissions. I'm a licensed real estate agent. A lot of people ask that question, should I become a licensed real estate agent? Do I need to become a licensed real estate agent in order to do this? It's kind of split on that. Everyone splits. And we're like, there's no reason to do it. Other people saying, yeah, you should. Here's my take on it, right? The negative side of it is saying, hey, you don't want to be a real estate agent because then you have to disclose. My thought is, what am I trying to hide? What am I trying not to disclose? And walk in with a seller and says, hey, by the way, I'm a licensed real estate agent. I have been, but I've been buying for my own portfolio for quite some time now. That's really the way I just kind of approach people. It's just wide open. That's the way I do it. I like it because it puts another tool in my toolbox. I always tell the story. When I graduated from college, my dad bought me $427 worth of tools at Home Depot and said, figure this out. Put another tool in your toolbox. That's what I want to do. Put another tool in my toolbox. So listen, terms of like greasing the wheels a little bit, creating supporting cast as it relates to cash flow, that's what I do. I go out there every once in a while, have a small little real estate transaction that closes. I'm going in, I'm negotiating with the seller. We can't come to terms. I can always say, hey, you know what? I'd love to help you out on the real estate side as well. If you want me to represent you, let me see what I can do to try to maximize this deal for you. And they might come back and say, no, I don't want you to represent me. I actually just want you to close on this deal, or vice versa. I don't know, but it basically puts another tool in the toolbox, okay? So that's something to think about. It's something to think about. And we're not talking about doing something totally crazy that's outside of the real estate side. It's a tool. And the reason why I came across this tool is because I used to buy down at the auction, and here's what was happening. I go down there and like every time I'm being outbid. Got outbid again, got outbid again. I wonder if that guy's an agent. Oh yeah, he's an agent. Oh, interesting. Well, what does that tell you just right up front? He's saving 3% on every transaction when he sells a property. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, he's like outbidding me by 3% every time too. So ultimately, you just putting that tool in your toolbox to become a potential real estate agent is something to think about, something to put in your toolbox to create that supporting cast, okay? Number 2, okay? Watch this. By the way, how we doing? I know, feeling me? We on board? So I'm trying to solve the biggest problem, by the way, that is happening in the real estate world right now, which is cash flow issues. People are flipping, they're getting into it, and all of a sudden they realize, dude, like it's not gonna close for 45 days. How am I gonna survive, right? So I'm trying to give you the tools right now to solve the problem. First one, agents. Second one, wholesaling. What a lot of people aren't telling you out there is this simple fact. The simple fact is that the majority of investors that have been doing this for a long, long time, buying, fixing, selling, I would say that probably 60 to 70% of their business is actually, it's actually right there. It's actually in the wholesale business. Why? Because I can tell you why. The return on your time in the wholesale business is the best return on your time that you could possibly have. So what they do is really, really zero in and focus on marketing, and they focus on finding really, really good deals, right? So the wholesale side is going to help solve that problem. By the way, those of you that aren't familiar with the wholesale process, you can check out some of my other training, check out some of my other videos and stuff like that, because definitely I get in and I talk about that. So definitely if you see any other links, and definitely check out my other trainings, because I talk about the wholesale side. But this wholesale thing is a extremely powerful thing. And if you're not doing it, you're not engaged in it, you're missing 60 to 70% of the boat, really. And I'll tell you that this wholesale side is what creates a lot of quality of life, gets you out there seeing more and more properties. Now let me tell you this. So it was my daughter's birthday last week, okay? And so whenever it's her birthday, I'm stoked because like grandma and grandpa, they send her some cash, right? So what she does is she goes out there and she heads over to the mall, and she's got $100 or whatever it is, and she's got $100. So what is she gonna do? She's gonna spend $100. She's gonna spend $70 here, $20 there, $10 there. She spent her $100. It's gone, right? That's the kind of thing a lot of times we get into in the real estate world, because we go, hey, you know what? I've got access to X amount of cash, so I'm gonna take my $100,000 and I'm gonna go shopping with the $100,000. Well, once my $100,000 is spent, or once my daughter is done spending $100 at the mall, what does she do? Hey, Dad, we're going home. We're done. I'm all tapped out. Well, guess what? In the world of real estate, and this is going to be counterintuitive, okay? But trust me when I tell you this. If you just get this embedded into your brain, this is one of the most solid principles I can share with you, all right? Real estate is not about ownership. It's about control. Write it down. Write it down. I'll tell you again. Real estate is not about ownership. It's about control. So how do we tie this whole thing in? What I'm going to tell you is the fact that, yeah, my daughter, when she goes shopping at the mall for $100, yeah, she's done. She's tapped out. She's bought her skirt. She's bought her blouse. She's brought the candy. She's done. She's going home. Here's the cool thing about it in real estate. If I got $100,000, or I have access to $100,000 through a partner, through a lending or whatever, and I spend that $100,000, everyone goes, oh, I'm tapped out. I got to wait till I cash out. That's what I used to think, right? I'm going to spend my $100,000, I got my partner involved, I'm going to wait 30 to 45 to 60 days until I finally get my money back, get my profits back, then I'm going to go shopping again. Well, here's the cool thing. In the real estate world, guess what? It's about control. and not ownership. Well, let me ask you something. Does control cost anything? Does control actually cost you a lot of money? No. We can go in there, we can control assets, we can make sure that the asset's right, and we can go ahead and we can turn that over to other really, really good investors that maybe have the money at the time and want to go forward that whole process of buy, fix, and sell. I'm telling you, if you're not engaging in the wholesale side of this business, you want to learn more about it, definitely check out some of my other videos, but this is a key concept of never ever having a cash flow problem. We're putting more tools in our toolbox, trying to grease the chain along the way to make this work, okay? So, number one, just think about it, rinse through it in your mind with me. And I do this like all the time. I'm like looking at my portfolio, I'm looking at my engagement. What am I doing on a daily basis? How am I doing this? And I'm going, okay, I've got the wholesales going, I've got a couple of agent commissions going, and then I also look at my flipping business. So I just want to say, number three really is the flipping side of this business. But what I want to really articulate is the two sides of this, which are there's the smaller little bread and butter type deals. I'm going to engage in those. Again, that's the single, that's the double, that's the single, that's the double. I want to have 3 or 4 or 5 of those in the portfolio. Those are the ones I'm working on. Then I'm going to come over here and do the large. Here's the problem. Everyone gets involved. They go, dude, I watched that show. I can do it too. No, you can't. Because everyone comes down here and they just create their entire portfolio right here. And when they do that, what happens? You got it. We're in a cash flow nightmare. It's not a problem, it's a nightmare. So what I want to do is I want to get this going, I want to get this going, and I want to get this going, but I want to make sure that I'm in and out of properties 90 to 120 days, putting 50 to 20,000 into these properties, little bread and butter every time, okay? Last tip I'm going to give you, okay? This is number 4. I told you I'd give you 4. Agent commissions, wholesaling, flipping, but focus on the smaller flips rather than the larger. It's going to help alleviate and create this cash flow. Okay, now the last thing that I want to do. I don't want to lose anybody right now because here we go. It's lending. It's on the lending side. You want to elevate your business. You want to elevate your cash flow. You want to elevate your quality of life. I'm telling you, this is where we need to be. I wish somebody 15 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, just would have extended their hand and would have said, Mike, come here. Let me show you the power in the lending business. That's where we want to be. Now, you're probably thinking in your mind, like, I don't know that I can do agent stuff. I don't know that I can do the flipping stuff, the lending, the wholesaling, all this type of thing, because it kind of might seem kind of like a lot, like a little bit overwhelming. But I want to tell you something. All of this stuff really kind of goes all hand in hand. It's all one and the same, because we're all, guess what? There's going to be an agent involved in the transaction, is there not? There's going to be this wholesale process of actually going out, finding a deal, analyzing the deal, making sure that it looks good. That's the primary part of this wholesaling side, is the finding side. Guess what? That finding side is primarily the major part that exists in the flipping side, right? And then on the flipping side, guess what? We need money. We need money to get these deals done. So the great thing about it is I'm not stepping out of the box. I'm actually just stepping a little bit deeper inside that box, and I'm gonna explore every little corner, every little cranny of that box to make sure that I'm basically capturing more profit centers within this entire process. Let me just walk you through. And by the way, I'm gonna walk you through this scenario, and this is exactly what's happening in my business today. And hopefully it opens your mind a little bit to the possibilities of actually marrying this deal here, number 2, the wholesale side, and then on the lending side as well, okay? So get ready for this, because people are like, oh no, I'm just a flipper, and oh no, I'm just a wholesaler. But what if we can start actually bringing these transactions together? So watch this. This is a transaction that's happening right now. So there's a particular property I'm working on right now, and I have the property under contract. So no, I haven't bought the property, I haven't closed on the property. It's the kind of deal where I control it. Because remember, I asked you earlier to write it down, that this whole real estate thing, it's not so much about ownership. It's about control. It's about control. So we control the asset. We're under contract on the particular asset. And I'm just going to show you for easy numbers, about 110,000 is what we're under contract for. Okay? So we're under contract for 110. This asset, by the way, and this is what we're buying it for, purchase. And we refer to what we believe the property to be worth, ARV after rehab value. I think it's worth about 170-ish. Okay? So 110 purchase, 170 is what I think it's worth, what it'll sell for. It's probably going to take about 30,000 to get it done. Okay? Now we don't have to be super good at math to know that, hey, if I bought something for 110, I put 30,000 into it, and I sold it for, I don't know, around the 170 mark, I'm probably making a little bit of money, right? I'm making 12, 15, maybe 20, I don't know. But give or take, we're right in that range. So let me ask you this. What if I had the ability to turn around and just take that property and I could wholesale it to another investor for, say, 5,000 bucks? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up, rather than going through this whole rehab process, I'm going to make a $5,000 fee, a wholesale fee. I should be able to make that. I went out, I identified the property, I know that it's a good property, I've done the research on it, and I would potentially recommend or help somebody else do that deal, right? And I'll do that for a small fee. Now let me ask you this. What if on top of that $5,000 wholesale fee, I turned around and I said, hey, how would you like to finance this deal? How would you finance it normally? And they say, oh, they tell me they're financing, well, I'm going to pay X amount of points, X amount of interest, whatever. And then I just come in and say, hey, what if I could help facilitate that for you? What if I could help put the financing together for you? And then I turn around and I now sell this property, not for 110, but I basically sell it to them for 115,000. There's my $5,000 fee. And then I can come in and then I can charge 2 to 3 points, maybe 12 to 14%. I don't know all the exact math on this, but if I'm making 5,000 right here, I'm making 2 points on 115,000 plus 12 to 14% for probably a 4 to 5 month period. All of a sudden, what have I done? I've turned this potential deal that I was gonna make, maybe 15, 20,000, right? Without doing any rehab, without any of this stuff, I've basically taken a $5,000 fee, and let's just say all this financing ends up being another $5,000, so it ends up being a $10,000 profit without ever picking up a hammer, without ever doing all the work, without ever dealing with inspectors, dealing with all that kind of stuff that's going to create cash flow issues for me. So what do? I take this and I duplicate this over and over and over again. So again, this is the way we come in and we can marry some of these main cash flow solutions together. Agent fees, wholesalers, flipping, lending. Now what happens if I just came over and I said, hey, I'll wholesale to you for 5, I'll give you some money on it, and by the way, how are you gonna market this property? Can I potentially help you and market it? I turn around and say, yeah, I'll help you represent you and help you sell it. And I'll do it for a discounted of whatever. Other agents out there are doing it for 3%, I'll do it for 2. Or whatever it is. And all of a sudden, now I've picked up a potential wholesale fee, potential lending opportunity, a potential agent fee, and here we are. So coming back to this problem of cash flow, how do I solve it? Again, the problem, too big, too quick, too many houses, right? What I want to do, I want to find a supporting cast, think of the wrestling thing, and I want to come in and use some of these other tools that are available that are out there. So these are the things that are on my mind like every week. I'm just going through them saying, what can I do to take your businesses to the next level? Think about it, get inside your own businesses, see what you can do to take it to the next level. I'm always trying to analyze and see what I can do to take it to better. So again, any questions, comments, definitely leave them there. There's gonna be links, so if there's other trainings, other stuff that you wanna get, you wanna take it to the next level, you like what's here, I love your feedback. And by the way, give me a little shout out. Say, hey, next week I'd love to learn about, boom, X. And I'd be happy to look at that and see what we can do to get you the answers to take your business to the next level. Again, thanks for watching another week of Real Estate Straight Talk, and we will see you soon. I got nothing up the sleeve, like it's like